Hello everyone. Let's take a look at how we can make different types of doors in Unity. We'll take a look at different types of doors, starting from very simple type of door that just opens on one side. Then we'll take a look at how we can open it depending on the direction player is opening it from. Then we will take a look at how we can make locked doors. Then we're gonna look at how we can make double doors having like a single script, and also the lock should be working with it. Then we'll take a look at special type of door, just like in Amnesia, where you have to interact with the door and then move the mouse to open it in the direction. So first of all, a disclaimer: we will not be making any physics based doors in this video because physics is terrible and it is really hard to get it to work right. Also, if you want to follow along, I would recommend that you install the do to in package from the Unity asset store. It is a free package. It is amazing for animating things, and we will be using it a lot to open doors and just rotate things around. So first of all, let's just first look at the structure I have set up for my doors here. So I made these doors by myself inside Blender, and I have this prefab here, interaction door. This will be the door where we like interact with it and it opens. Simple door. So inside this object I have a door mesh. This is the actual door, and then I have a door frame. So door frame uh, is just for style. Like it doesn't help. It doesn't provide any functionality. Then we have the door frame, and you will notice that I have set the door frame anchor point to its edge here, where I want it to rotate it from. So I have the pivot set to pivot, not center, the pivot, and the transform is local or global. You can work with either of those. So I'm gonna rotate it, and you can see that this is how I'm gonna open the door. Now also inside the door mesh, I have a door handle. I have also set the pivot point in the center, so like it's the center from both sides. So I can also rotate it with do tween to mimic the door handle moving. Let me reset these rotations. Now let's make a script. I've already made one, and it's just basic starter script. So I'm just gonna take a simple serialized field here, and this will be a float value which will be opening duration. I'm gonna set it default to 2f. Okay, so back in Unity, let me just clear some things out. I have a simple player controller here, and I have a player interaction script which has a interaction range and interaction layers and a debug boolean. So let me open this. I'm gonna scroll through it so you can pause the video and read it if you want. But basically it just looks for a interactable item in the viewport, and there's an item interact function which basically takes an input of the user, and if the user presses the button, if we are looking at an object which can be interacted with, then it calls the interaction function on that object. This interaction function comes from an interface which I am interactable. Okay, so this is the interface which has 4 functions: interact, finish interaction, should show interaction UI, and is being interacted with. For now, we're just gonna use interact and should show interact UI. The rest will be used later when we are making the control door. Okay, so back in my door script, I'm gonna implement that interface. So I'm not gonna use the finish interaction function here, so I'm just gonna return here. And is being interacted with is also not necessary, so I'm also gonna return here. Actually, I have to return false here. And lastly, should show interaction UI. This should also be true, because we want to show the interaction UI so that player knows that we can interact with this door. And let's just remove this line and return here, and let's go back into Unity. So here on my interaction door prefab, I'm gonna just add the script here. It has the duration. Let's also make sure that the layer is correct, so it's the default layer. In this project, because I don't have anything else, and I'm and it is made solely for the purpose of these doors, so I don't have any specific layer for the interaction. But usually what you will have is that you will have a separate layer which will be used for the interaction system that you have for your player. I also have a simple canvas here which has the this hand image. So this will be used as the interaction UI. Okay, so now if I play the game, if I get near the door, you can see the interaction symbol appears, but I currently can't interact with it because I don't have implemented it. So let's implement the interaction mechanic here. I'm also gonna add a reference here for the handle. Then we're gonna make a boolean variable here is open, which will be false initially. This will be used to determine if the door is open. Okay, so now in this interaction function, we will take an if statement. If is open. So if the door is open, then we will basically close the door. So if the door is already open, then we will close it. So this is a function. Now this is giving me an error because I don't have imported tween here. So if I do this, now it will work. And I will have an else function here. So this is where we will open the door. So as the AI is suggesting me here, we will basically rotate the door 90 degrees. Now I have the transform.local Euler angles.x here because in my door mesh, the angle of my door is minus 90 degrees by default. So this is the correct rotation of it. If I leave this 0 here, so the door will be like rotated onto the floor. So with this, our door should be working now. So if I go to the door and press E, you can see the door opens and it closes. So while we are at it, let's also implement the double door, the handle of the door. We'll do the double door in a bit. So let me first check how much I want to rotate the handle. So I want to rotate it on the y-axis. I think 45 should be fine here. So here, let's first do, okay, so we want to only do it when we are opening the door. So door handle dot do local rotate, and yeah, this should be correct. So yeah, let's try it out. Make sure we have assigned the door handle here. We have not. So now if I interact with my door, as you can see, the door handle rotates, but it stays rotated. So what we want to do here on complete, we want to rotate it back to its original rotation. Yeah, nice. Now let's implement the double doors. So on the double doors, I have the door mesh, and there's a left one and a right one. So I don't have any colliders on them right now, so I'll first add the colliders. Box collider. Let me make sure they're correct. Yep, that looks about right. So the layers are correct. Now I just need to add the door script here, and it needs a reference for the door handle. Okay, now let's see how it works. So as you can see here, we have to like individually interact with the doors here. Now if you want to open both doors at the same time, when one of them one either of the side is interacted. So here I am in my game project. This is the game I have released last year on Steam. It's called Mindstorm, and I'll leave a link to it down in the description if you want to check it out. So on this door, I have an interactor script which links back to door lock features, which it has a reference to the door lock feature script on the parent parent of the door mesh. So let me show you what it looks like. So this script is the interactable script, which has the interface implemented. So both of these, both left and the right side door, call the interaction function inside the door lock features. So whenever they are interacted with, they call the function perform interact in the log features, which performs all the logic of opening the door. Now the door log features has the references for both meshes, the left and the right one. It also handles it also like rotates the handle, and it also opens the door. I'll just show you real quick how this works. So here I have multiple types of doors in my game, and when I press E to interact with this, both sides open. Only the handle for one side moves. You can also, if you want the both side handles from both sides to move, you can also like do that with a list by with a list of handles. Okay, now let's implement the directional aspect of the door. So the door opens in the opposite direction of where the player is standing. So to do that, it is very simple. I'm already getting the reference to the player object here, and now I'm just gonna take a vector 3 door right. This will be this is actually the transform dot up value here. The door right is just the wrong name in my reference. You can rename it to door up, for example, here. And next we're gonna take a vector 3 door position to player, where player dot transform dot position minus transform dot position. So this will be the direction from the player to the door, or other way around, door to the player. So now we're gonna calculate the side, and this is correct. So we're gonna use dot product here to determine the side of which the player is standing, and here where we are rotating it 90 degrees, we're gonna multiply this with a conditional statement, which will be if the side is less than 0, then we will rotate it in minus 90 direction, and if the side is greater than 1, greater than 0, then we will rotate it in the positive 90 direction. So back in Unity, let's go interact with our door, and if I press E, you can see it opens in that way and closes appropriately. Now if I interact with it from here, you can see that it will open in the other direction here. So this will respect the player's position, so it doesn't open in the player's face. Because usually what happens is the doors usually open in one direction. But in games when you don't want the player to like start clipping with the doors collider, you usually do it so the door opens in the opposite direction of the player. Let's also check the double door here. And you can see here one of the door is opening in the wrong direction here. This is because of the pivot point set by me. Um, when I imported this mesh from Blender to Unity, the axis from of one side is not correct. You can see that one has the z axis upwards and one has the z axis downwards. This is why the side is not being calculated correctly for these doors. To fix this, we can add an axis inversion value here. So let's take a new serialized field here and a private float int integer value axis inversion, and by default it's gonna be 1. So when we're multiplying it with our side here, let's also multiply it with axis inversion here, and let's limit this value from to with a range from -1 to 1. This will give us a nice slider here. So this door was opening correctly, but this one was giving us trouble. So let's invert its axis. Now if I open it, you can see that it opens in the correct direction here, because we have inverted its axis. Okay, let's see how we can make locked doors. So I'm back in my games project. I'm not gonna code it out, so I'm just gonna show you how it's usually made, because it's pretty simple, but you need to have like other systems with it to make sure that it works correctly. So I have this door here. This is gonna be locked. So when I interact with it, it says that the door is locked. Now I'm gonna get the key for it. So I got the key. The key was added in the inventory. Now if I go to the door here, press E, confirm to use, it opened the door. I unlocked it and opened it. So let's see what the code behind all of this is. So first of all, I have the door locked features here. This script, it has a boolean variable here is locked initially, which locks the door at the start of the game when the game is played, when the scene is played, sorry. It also has a key ID here, which has the item ID which will be required to open this door. So the key I picked up had the ID 100, so it opened the door. Now in the script here, first of all, when it is interacted with, I check that if the door is locked and if it's not been interacted with, and if it's not broken too, because in my game we have broken doors too. Then I get the item from the inventory and I check if the item is not null. Then I show the confirm item use UI, which which was the side panel which opened to confirm the item use. Now this UI has two functions here: on confirm and on cancel. The first one is the item, then it's the on confirm, and then on cancel. So if the user confirms to use that item, I set the door is locked to false, and I set the is interacting to false, and the collider is re-enabled, disabled and re-enabled. This helps with some bugs with AI, I think. That's why I did it probably. And this has been unlocked is used for saving. And I hide the confirm item use UI. I play the sound for unlocking the door, and I call the event on unlock. If the user just doesn't want to open it, I just hide the confirm item use and set is interacting to false. Otherwise, I set is interacting here true. This will run before both these functions. So if the user doesn't have the key, then I show a dialog that the door is locked for this duration. I disable the animator and I rotate the door handle. So this will imply that the player tried to open the door with its handle, but the door was locked, so the door didn't open. Then I play the sound for trying to open. Otherwise, this script will run. This is the default behavior for the door, which is if the door is not locked and the door is not broken, then we simply just open it. Okay, let's make the control door where the user have to like grab the door, interact with it, and use his mouse to open it. So we can like control it how much we open the door, and how much we can control the close the door. So I have the script here. Let's clean it. I'm gonna implement the I am interactable interface here. So to implement this door, we also need to do some changes to our player interaction. Here I was just simply calling the interact script here, which we can't do anymore. If we want to implement this, I have this script commented out here, which was the continuous interaction. So first we take the input from the user, then we check if the current interactable is not null. So if we are currently interacting with. So let's discuss this if statement after we have discussed this one, because this is the one which continuously interacts with the object. So in here we get the get player continuous interact function here. We call the user input here and check if the interact button is continuously pressed. And it's giving me an error here because item interact, I commented it out. So we're gonna add continuous interaction here. So we get the player continuous interaction here, and if we check if we are looking at something or not, if the current looked at item is not equal to null, and we are not interacting with anything right now. So we are looking at something here, but we're not interacting with anything here. So if that is true, then we set the current interactable to the item we are currently looking at, and we call the interact function on the object we are looking at right now. And we also set the last looked at item to null. So we are not looking at the item right now, we're actually interacting with it now. And the looking for interactable object here, it already is like set up in such a way that it keeps it in mind that if we are interacting with something or not. So next up, this function starts running where we are currently interacting with something. So we have a function here, get interact finished here, which checks that if the player released the interact key, this frame. So if the player released the interact key, then we want to finish the interaction with our currently looked at object, and we want to set the current interactable to null. Now let's implement all of this logic in our control door. First of all, let's get our references here. So first we're gonna get a float value for open upper limit here, which will be 90f, and then we will have a serialized field for open lower limit to 70 Why isn't it doing what? 270F. Next, we will have rotation multiplier clamp limit. I will explain these when we get to them. So next we have not the open duration but rotation resistance, which will be by default 5F here. Lastly, let's get a reference for the door handle. Next we will need some boolean, some variables here, which will be is grabbed. Okay, is grabbed not the mouse delta, like this. We will need the side, we will need rotation multiplier, and we will need one last thing, vector 2 mouse delta. Yeah, it can be set to 0 initially. Okay, we will also need an update function here. So first, let's set up our functions one by one. For the should show interaction UI, we're gonna return true here. For the is being interacted with, we're gonna return is grabbed here, because we want to return this boolean value to show the hand symbol, which will be like in a grab form. Next, we want to set up the interact function here. So when we interact with the door, we're gonna set the is grab to true. We're gonna get the player controller here, and we're gonna disable the player's movement. You can not disable it, it just depends on preference, but for this example here, we're gonna just do this. So we're also gonna calculate the side of the player here, Okay, so next let's set up the finish interaction. So when we stop interacting with it, we're gonna set the is grab to false. We're gonna resume the player's movement, and we're gonna reset the door handle's rotation. Okay, nice. That's all I want to do here. Okay, so the main logic is in our update function here, where first let's get the mouse delta here from the input manager, and we're gonna check if is grabbed is true. If it is true, then rotation mp is equal to mathf dot clamp. So I'm not gonna autocomplete it. Rotation mp plus mouse delta dot x minus rotation mp clamp limit. Yeah, so we're using a clamp limit here. This will limit the speed of at which we can open the door, so the player can't just like open it at insanely large speeds. It will just limit the speed a little bit. Next, we're gonna take the direction here, which will be side, which we calculated when we started the interaction here. Okay, so next up, let's do a check for the rotation mp is equal to is not equal to 0f. So when the rotation multiplier is not 0, then we want to rotate the door according to the direction we want to rotate it in. So we're gonna use transform dot rotate here, and yeah, this should be correct. So we're gonna rotate the door along the z axis with the rotation multiplier multiplied by time dot delta, so the rotation is smooth, and the direction and the space will be local here. Now already with this, let's go to our Unity and see what our door does. So I have this second door here, and I'm gonna put the control door script on it, and let's just give the reference for the door handle here. The other values are fine, I think. Let's just test it out. So I'm gonna press the E key, and for some reason the the door frame fell on the ground. I'm gonna have to check that out, why that happened. Okay, so the door is working somewhat, but the player movement is also not stopped. Okay, I'll have to check this. That is really annoying me. Why did the door frame fell on the ground? Okay, so the problem is I'm rotating the door frame instead of the door handle. It should have been the door handle here. That was weird. Okay, so now as you can see, if I move my mouse this way, the door opens in that direction, and if I like move it on my right side, the door opens. But currently, as you can see, there is no resistance to the door, and there is no limit for the door's rotation. So that's what we're gonna implement next. First, let's add some resistance to the door. So if the rotation MP is not equal to 0, then we will just add this line here. Rotation MP dot is equal to math f dot move towards rotation m. It will take the rotation MP, yeah, this line. So this math function basically moves a value from one point to another in a linear fashion. So we will just move the rotation multiplier value to 0 according to the rotation resistance value, which will be smoothened out by the time dot delta time. With this, we will already have some resistance to our door. So as you can see here, now if I move the door here, as you can see, it eventually stops. So if we want to like stop immediately, we can increase the resistance value. If we don't want it to stop immediately, you get the point, right? Now let's add the limits to it so it doesn't go beyond an angle. This basically checks for the limits which the door can rotate to, and if we reach that rotation, we're gonna just keep the door at that position. We're gonna set we're gonna snap the rotation to that angle, and we're gonna set the rotation multiplier to 0, so the door doesn't like rotate beyond that point. And same thing goes for the other direction. So this one is, I think, for the front side, and this one is for the back side. While we're at it, let me also like, okay, so I had these things commented out. This is why the mouse wasn't like stopping. Now let's test it out. I'm gonna go to the door, interact with it. Now as you can see, my mouse, my camera doesn't move with the mouse anymore when I'm interacting with the door. So I'm gonna open it. I'm moving my mouse, and as you can see, like it doesn't go beyond that angle. Let's increase this value here. Let's try this out. So yeah, that worked nicely. As you can see, it doesn't go beyond this angle. Now I try to open the door in this way, and you can see that it it stays within its bounds. Now, one last quality of life thing I want to add to this is when we like start interacting with the door, we like open the handle here, but it would be nice if when we're not grabbing the door and it is like near its center point where it is like where which is the default rotation, it should like close automatically. So let's add those conditions here. So I'm gonna rotate the door to its default position and also just rotate the door handle. What we also need to do here is we want to return from this condition here, because we don't want the rotation MP to be affected this frame, because the rotation multiplier is already 0 and we don't want to like change this value now. So back here, when I play the scene, let's interact with the door, and as you can see, it opens to its limit. Then if I close it, as you can see, like when it gets close to the center point, it just closes it it just closes when I'm not interacting with it. So it will just close. But if I'm like interacting with it, it won't close. As soon as I stop interacting with it and it gets near the center point, it will close automatically, which I think is usually how doors should work. Now, the reason why you might find the condition very confusing in the closing at the center point thing is because the rotation function is like works in very weird ways sometimes. Quaternions are just weird in general. I think I honestly don't understand them completely by myself too, but after a lot of testing I got this thing working properly. So as you can see here, like even though it shows that the rotation point is on the vex in on my y-axis, but when I rotate the door, it actually rotates the z-axis. So how does that work? I don't know myself, but yep, it works, I guess. So these are all types of doors we'll be discussing in today's video. So these are all the type of doors we will be discussing in today's video. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. I'm uploading after a very long time because I was just busy with a lot of different things. I uploaded one game on Steam, which I worked on for quite a long time now, and I just couldn't find the time to or the motivation to make videos. I will try to upload more videos, make videos about things that I generally don't find tutorials on, and I just found them like some difficult, so I can try to like help someone if they're trying to do the same thing. Yeah, and that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.